Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare was released in 1991. It's the sixth Nightmare on Elm Street movie and was supposed to be the last. After 5 hit movies, Freddy Krueger was to hang up his glove, his hat, and be no more. Welcome to Elm Street and Beyond, a mini-series from the Beyond Graves and Stars podcast. This episode, I'm joined by Victoria Bennett, who some of you will know from the Criminal Craic true crime podcast. We look at the first Freddy movie of the 1990s. Does it hold up? Is it worth watching? Or should the wisecracking madman have stayed in the 1980s?
Horrifying film. The terror is just beginning. Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. The madman. Yeah. Great to be back in business. You love to hate. Returns for his most spectacular nightmare. But Freddy's worst nightmare is his own flesh and blood.
Can't be my father.
No respect. Who will stop him dead?
My father's dead.
In his dreams. Hey, Spence. Let's trip out. Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare.
Nick, thanks for joining me. How have you been? You're new to the podcast. People have heard your voice before because we've been putting the ad on for your pod.
You have. Thank you ever so much. We're very.
Do you just want to quickly tell people about that before we start?
So my friend, my childhood bestie, up here in Scotland, we have been best mates since we were 4 years old. We decided to do a true crime podcast because we both realised we're sort of into it and a bit morbid, but we still have, it's a weird one, we still have a bit of a giggle, but not at the expense of any of the victims or anything like that. So we share really horrible stuff, but we try and make the podcast as light as it can be with a little bit of banter from ourselves. And each week it's not weekly at the moment, it's fortnightly. Each fortnight we introduce a new story to the other person who has no idea what case we've been looking at. So it's all off the cuff. You've heard this on the advert, haven't you? Yeah. It's all improvised responses and stuff, so it's all genuine. And yeah, sometimes Gemma has to do a lot of editing, so sorry, Andy, if you have to edit me out today. I say inappropriate things sometimes, apparently.
Yeah, this is an adult explicit one. We're fine. We can say pretty much what we want. So I try not to, but it often happens because we just do it as a normal conversation. So let's get talking, because I'm going to put the ad on at the end anyway of the show, so that people can hear the professional ad.
The professional ad, not me rambling on going, blah, blah, he's put me on the spot.
This might be the longest episode we've ever done, so we'll see. I know you're a huge film fan, and you've mentioned several films in your podcast related to the crimes that you've spoken about. So that gives me more to watch. But are you particularly a horror fan? And if you are, what got you into horror?
I love horror movies, but I think I maybe respond to them in a strange way because quite often they make me laugh, and I don't know if that makes me weird, but I do remember my brother introducing me to horror films. I've got a big brother, like I think other people who have recorded with you have said. Oh, it's my big brother snuck in, behind the couch. And I think one of the films I was talking to you about was Rats, and you've already mentioned that, haven't you?
Yeah.
And
you mentioned it a while ago, and I went on a bit of a mission to find it, and now I've got a mini collection of rat films, and I think I've got the right one. It was like a 80s one, wasn't it?
Yeah, my brother
Yeah.
used to like read all these books, and I would look at the front cover and go, "Oh, that looks really scary." And then he started watching the films, and they were all like, I assume they were all like B movies, really weird films. And I would be in the room sometimes because he was supposed to be babysitting these little girls that we knew, and actually he'd leave me to do all that, and he'd put on films and just sit there. But I'd sneak back in the room and go, "Ooh, what's this?" But I remember that one specifically because the bit with the toddler. Have you seen that?
Well, I watched it. It was a few years ago. You mentioned it, and I just remember it being really cheesy and sort of bad special effect
Yeah,
raps.
I haven't watched it as an adult, so maybe it would be different now. I was only like 9 when I saw that. Um, and likewise with Freddy, with the first film, me and one of my really good friends, my dad was in the Air Force, so we lived in Germany, and one of my good friends, Danielle Bagley, she somehow got the video and we snuck into my room and we watched it. We did the same with the X-Files as well when that first came out. We were like, oh, we're not allowed to watch this. Let's go watch it. So, yeah, that's how it all began. And I do love things like Scream. I do love classic horror as well. But one thing you mentioned was, I think you mentioned it in another pod, was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
Now that one really scares me, and I know that because I've only watched it the one time, and I enjoyed it, but it terrified me. Even the sound of the chainsaw. Ugh, shudder.
That's why I think that film's genius, because it got banned for years, and with the title like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, you'd expect this gore fest, but it
Yeah,
isn't. It's the noises, it's the close-ups on the people in distress's faces. It's gritty. It's a
yeah.
world away from Nightmare on Elm Street, but yet Leatherface gets sort of lumped in with these characters and
It
has
was the
since
build of the
become one of these.
anxiety, wasn't it, in that film? It was just,
Yeah.
yeah.
But have you
Horrible.
only seen the original one, the first one?
No, I saw the later one as well. It was
Yes,
the
I'd
same sort of
recommend.
time I did House of Wax. I revisited the original and the
Okay,
later one of that and stuff.
yeah, because I've never seen the remake of House of Wax. I've heard it's bad, but
Yeah.
I recommend the 80s, 1986 Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2,
Oh,
because it's the same director, Toby Hooper, but it's a bit of a comedy as well, weirdly, and it's just a lot of fun. Yet it's a direct sequel to the original, which is so dark. It's a film that people either love or hate, but I think if you're a fan of like Freddy films, you'll probably enjoy it.
yeah.
And
I mean, sometimes it depends on the scenario that you're watching in as well, doesn't it? Because I remember, like, Blair Witch. It's not a scary film, but my brother put that on and told me it was a genuine lost. This was like the first lost
yeah,
footage thing that I'd seen. And I completely believed him because I was just a gullible child, and it scared the bejesus out of me.
yeah,
So, but
and
looking back at it now, it's like, oh, it's like
yeah.
you don't actually
That's
see anything, do you? There's sticks and stuff
yeah, sticks and people
running,
arguing.
snotty
Yeah,
noses, and yeah.
yeah. But I mean, at the time, just before it was released, I think they had to say it wasn't real when it got the cinema release. There was like, I was watching something about it the other day. They had to submit it to Cannes, so they gave them a copy of it, and then someone duplicated it and put it on like the equivalent of now like the dark web or whatever, and was selling
Um,
it, and people thought it was real, and that's one of the reasons it annoys me. It took over Ninja Turtles as the biggest independent film ever, which I like them
how
both.
dare it?
It's no Ninja Turtles, is it? Right. So but
I always
you
wanted to be April O'Neil. Sorry, I keep interrupting you.
Michelangelo is my life basically. Pizza and pie, and I imagine he watches horror films. I don't know. He just seems the sort.
Yeah, I
Right. So
reckon.
you've watched them all you've rewatched them all.
I've
Um,
rewatched them all.
and how have you found the first five so far? Rewatching them.
I've, do you know, I thought I would not necessarily enjoy them as much, but I did. I really did. I've really enjoyed rewatching them. I'm not huge on 4 and 5, and I know that's going against what your people said. Who was it in number 4? Who did you record with?
It was Lee Richmond. He's
Yeah,
a horror author.
yeah. And that's the thing. I'm like, you've put me on the spot here because you've got like movie scholars and horror authors, and then there's just little old me going, I like films.
That's pretty much that's me. But it's good to have different people's takes, and we've all all of us so far have grown up watching different films and all grown up with different lives coming into them. So
Yeah,
it doesn't matter who you are. It's good to have that take.
it is good to have
And
that diversity, isn't it? But yeah, he said a lot of interesting things in that because I've obviously listened to all the pods as well so far. And I enjoyed it, but just not as much as the others. I think 1 to 3 are top for me. And 3, I don't want to be the same as everyone else, but it really was my favourite.
yeah, it's that one, isn't it? It's the you mentioned it. Other ones that for me, that's when Freddy becomes the almost like the cartoon Freddy,
Yeah,
and you've got a different group of teenagers who are they're more individuals than the guys in the first movie,
yeah.
and the second one is just a bit different and weird.
They're that
For
delinquent
for different.
group that, like, who doesn't want to be part of a delinquent group as a
Yeah,
teenager? Of course you do.
and that's the thing that since that one, they definitely try to recreate that in parts 4 and the one we're about to talk about. But I
Definitely
don't
in
think they
this
get it
one.
quite as well, do they? And that's the thing. Um, but it's interesting because what you said about part 4. I've a couple of people I went to about who's doing what film. Some people just said that they do it, but they wouldn't have anything positive to say on parts 4 and 5 were the ones, and 6 were the ones that people were like, I really don't like them. And for me, if you're a fan of the other 3, you might not like them as much, but I can't understand people liking the first ones and then hating these ones.
Yeah, no, I like them all. They're all, they all have their place. And I was thinking about this, and it might be a weird way of saying it, but it's like Freddie is doing a job and it's the days of the week. And like Monday, he's like, okay, yeah, I've got this job to do. I'm going to do this and da 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 da, death, destruction, blah. Tuesday's like, oh, right, oh, I've left that out, so I better do that. And then Wednesday, it's like, right, oh, really time to, pull my finger out and do this. And so it's like, yeah, death, everyone, let's get them. They're in a snake pit. They're some of them are medicated. They'll be easy, and then and then it goes on from there.
Yeah,
And it's like, and then this film that we're talking about today is like Saturday, and he's just having fun. He's like chilled, laid back, Freddy. I'm just gonna have a
yeah.
laugh, and and some of this really did make me laugh my ass off. And I remember actually watching it the first time with my brother, and we laughed so much at the bit. And sorry, it's the bit with the deaf guy, in the chalkboard, and just the
Yeah.
faces that Freddie pulls. Very, very funny to me.
And things I think it's supposed to be as well. As the films go on, Freddie becomes more lighthearted. And he had a TV show that he presented, like Tales from the Crypt. He was on the front of like probably the likes of Look-In magazine over here. It's so strange that this character from these violent films became a pop icon. And there was like kids' Halloween costumes and stuff. And I've said it in other episodes. They definitely act up to that as the films go on. They're definitely the certificates aren't, but the films are definitely aimed at a younger audience. I think.
I think so too. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, and it's that's a different debate whether they're harmless or not. But we turned out all right, didn't we? So, but yeah, let's talk about this one because one thing I'd
Yeah.
totally forgotten, like all of them, I went back and rewatched them, and I thought it'd been a few years, and I'd logged it twice already on Letterboxd, and I've only been on Letterboxd 5 years,
Okay.
so I have watched it a few times. But it's my sort of after the pub or after work put on and not really think about films. I think these, but I'd forgotten that it's set 10 years after part 5. It
Yes.
says that right at the beginning.
Said
And
it
I
did say
think,
that. And it
yeah,
also
and
had a little quote at the beginning as well that I loved, which just said, "Welcome to primetime, bitch." And I'm like, yeah.
yeah, so you sort of, there's quite, I can't remember what the original quote is, something quite poetic.
It's
And then
Frederick
before
Nietzsche,
it,
isn't it? It's something
yeah,
really,
yeah, and then
liberal.
something that we wouldn't get. And
Yeah.
then straight into that.
Very
And
highbrow.
then, yeah. And also you're now in, this is the first one to be made in the 90s. And I don't know if you know the song at the beginning, but it's the Goo Goo Dolls.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, it's the 90s now. We've got the Goo Goo Dolls. We haven't got Doggin or the Fat Boys. And, so there is that
No.
slight change. And even
Lots
though,
of Goo Goo Dolls and Iggy Pop and stuff in this one, isn't it?
yeah, I imagine there was a big soundtrack they were trying to sell for this.
Yeah, probably.
And because this is the thing, I was 10 when this came out. I obviously didn't see it in the cinema, but I remember it being a thing. This is the first one of the whole franchise that I remember being released. Like I'd see the adverts on the back of magazines and posters and that sort of thing, and it was a big film. And one thing that I don't understand, as you've been listening, we've been talking about how the films have gone on, and they've all still made money. Not as much as the first two, but they've all made a lot of money, like really profitable. And I assumed that parts 5 and 6 didn't do very well, but they did. This one had the biggest opening weekend of any of them.
Oh
And
wow!
I'm like,
Is
yeah,
that because of the 3D element? Were people all like, "Ooh, 3D"?
yeah,
Was
that's the
it
thing.
quite
The
new
3D, it was it's sort of on a comeback because they had obviously can't speak.
then?
3D was like in the 50s. You had it with like Creature from the Black Lagoon and things like that.
Oh yeah,
And I think that in the late 80s and early 90s, they were trying to bring it back because of they were worried video rentals were going to take over from cinema. Much like a few years ago when you got things like Avatar because of streaming, they brought 3D back. So I think it's a way to pull people into the cinemas. But it's that and the selling point of this one isn't called Nightmare on Elm Street. It's called, Freddy's Dead. So it's being sold as the last one, which I think they fully intended it to be. But it
I
cost.
was just about to say, was that the intent? Because I thought that was the intention. So,
Yeah.
and I think that's
Yes.
why they chose in this one to do that backstory, which they'd kind of sort of dotted around, hadn't they? They danced around it for the first ones, and they'd said some things, and then this one you actually see. I don't know if you noticed, but there was a bit with the newspaper clippings and stuff. And in this one, it might have even been in the last one actually, but it said something about child molester, and that's something they'd kind of avoided. They'd said child murderer, hadn't they? And it's like,
so they don't say it out loud, but it's on a newspaper thing, which I'm pretty sure in the first one they were meant to use that word, but they changed it because of some big case what was coming up in America or in the news at the time, and they thought it's obviously a sensitive subject anyway, so they opted, which I spoke about with Lee, to use murderer instead, and for whatever reason people are more comfortable with that. And
I get that as well, and also leaving things open to your imagination, actually giving the audience that free reign is a clever thing to do anyway. I think if you tell them everything, where's the fun in that?
Exactly,
you want to be able to interpret it and do these podcasts.
Exactly. Yeah, we wouldn't be able to talk about it if it was that. And they definitely wouldn't have made as many sequels, and there wouldn't be the kids' costumes and toys and things. And I mentioned this in the episode with Lee as well. Lauren, on our first episode, pointed out that if it's a murderer, it's more like a grim tale and fairy tale.
Yeah.
And that's definitely what Freddy has become. He's become the modern, monster, as in, your sort of Hansel and Gretel type story, as well as Frankenstein and Dracula. It was sort of our generation's that.
That's it. And in this one, when you see him as a man, actually, that to me is darker. Because when you think, okay, right, that's a man doing these things, that's what a monster. You can go to monster,
That's the and I think nothing I've said, and I think one day it will happen. There'll be like a mini series where it is the story of him as a human, so to speak, as a man, and it'll be a bit like they done with Bates Motel with and I'm not really. I'll watch anything Nightmare on Elm Street, but I'm not really bothered. I like the fantasy side of it, and in this movie, because it's the way it. We'll talk about the plot properly in a sec, but there's sort of flashbacks through memories and dreams that show his origin story.
Yeah,
and I think that's by far the most you found out. It's done so much better than they tried to do in the prequel, not the prequel, the remake. Sorry, but that's all you need. I think this gives you all the backstory you need. And I'm so glad that they haven't done the, Freddy the early years or that sort of thing.
I apologise. I just nodded and realised you're not going to be able to see this. You're only going to be able to hear this. Nodding. Agreed.
Thumbs up. But yeah, so the film starts 10 years later, and it opens like most of the films with a dream sequence of a young lad who we don't know the name of yet, on a plane, and it's basically what you think is going to be the first death. but it isn't. It's Freddy almost like taunting this kid and then throwing him back into, well, sort of our domain. He's woken up, and he's left to be found by this group of kids, isn't he? Who he's the bait for these kids, who are all in a kind of community centre, aren't they?
I think it's a halfway house.
Okay, yeah.
They're all a bit like Breckin Meyer's character. His dad's put him there because he set fire to his dad's car. They're all a bit delinquent. They've all done something naughty, and I think it's sort of a halfway house.
And we're introduced to them through their psychiatrist, Maggie.
Yeah.
Can you hear that alarm going off?
No.
Wow, this new microphone's good. There's a huge alarm going off outside, which is the...
Is your building on fire?
Don't think so. If it is, it's Breckin Meyer's fault.
Check the floor. If it's warm.
Yeah, I think I'm all right. But yeah, so we're introduced to these delinquent characters, as you've already touched on, much like in part 3.
Yeah.
There's a group of them, and they've got their... she is a psychiatrist named Maggie, who, even though it's 91, has got the sort of very... To me, she looks like a cross between Ricky Lake and Scully from X-Files. She's got that kind of very 90s look. When I remember when I was a kid, I checked the credits. I thought it was Ricky Lake, and looking at it now, she doesn't actually look much like her. It's just the hair.
Doesn't look like Ricky Lake. No, she's a sort of Lois Lane kind of character, isn't she? That sort of look. Yeah.
And she's not even doesn't even seem much older than the kids.
No.
Which is another thing that, especially her and the other girl Tracy, look the same age. But that's what they do. There's it's like Grease, isn't it? In these films, the kids are really old.
Yeah, I wasn't sure with the casting on Maggie. I think this film might have had more potential if they could have put somebody. I don't know. I'm not slagging her off. I just think it could have been slightly different if they'd have put somebody, I don't know, maybe more well known in that part.
Yeah,
maybe.
More well known. Which they had the budget. These films were huge. That's what I was going to mention, because this cost about 10 million.
Wow,
and it made 34 million. So that's a lot, because if you double it, you're a hit. So it's more than tripled it. So I mean, I think as well, there was the term of New Line was the house that Freddy built. So I think they were keeping them low budget, almost to fund other films. And they even when you think this is 91, it costs about 10 million. And 3 years later, Jim Carrey's paid 20 million to be in The Cable Guy.
Million?
Made, 20 million. Yes, 20 million. So they were, even though they were huge, they were still relatively low budget, which I think kind of works, because there's that sense of when will the bubble burst? So they didn't want to spend a lot, because I still think they were worried that they wouldn't make the money. But
how much did the first one cost? Do you remember?
The first one, I think it cost 2 million.
Yeah.
I think this is from memory. But with this movie is more or less constant dream sequences and action sequences, and less, talking in the schoolyard and that sort of thing. Which there's in the first one, which, don't get me wrong, I think it's a lot better film. But there's a lot of dialogue scenes where there's nothing visual on the screen. Whereas I think as the franchise has gone on, the audiences have cared less about plot and more. They just want to see kill after kill after kill. Which, interesting, in this one, I counted, there's only 3 deaths in the whole film, not counting Freddy. But there's a lot of, are they going to die, aren't they going to die moments.
Yeah.
So
with Breckin, I didn't even... Well, we'll get to that in a bit, but...
Yeah. So, but we just want to mention in the opening scene, what are your thoughts on the... this is one of the things a lot of people criticise the film for, the Wizard of Oz reference when you first see Freddy.
See, I like that.
Yeah.
It's a dream, it's a fantasy, you can do whatever you like. But also, I think, and so I started taking notes during this film because I thought I'd better, because we're doing the podcast. And so I was really paying attention to things. And actually, this film has a lot of things in it that people do have phobias and nightmares about. And so this is falling, isn't it? The whole thing with him is falling every time. And I used to have a reoccurring dream or nightmare when I was little that I was falling, and it petrified. It was horrible. And it's like I would wake up and I would still feel the feeling. It was awful, horrendous. And I mean, I've noticed in this one, there's clowns, there's snakes, there's falling, there's all these, really common phobia things. And I think that's why they were doing that, maybe. And Freddy on a broomstick, why not?
It's stupid, but it does make me laugh every time I see it.
Yeah.
And Robert Englund in this film, and I think as the films have gone on, he seems to be having more fun in the role.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
He obviously enjoyed playing the character. He still loves Freddy. If he wasn't, he's nearly 80 now. I think he'd do it still if he could.
Yeah.
And he's renowned for. Well, I've mentioned this, but I went to a Comic-Con, met him, but it took all day to meet him, and then it was brief because it was about to close. Because he just likes talking about it. He likes talking about films in general. Get him on a subject, and he'll talk away because he loves what he does so much. And I think it shows on the screen.
Oh, yeah. And I think by this point as well, it's film 6. If the audience is still here, whatever, we can do what we want.
Yeah.
Let's do it. If we think it's funny, we're going to do it. So that's what we did.
And it is funny. And for us watching these films now, especially the late ones, they're not scary, but you still wouldn't show them to a 6-year-old because it would traumatize them.
Yeah.
Because they wouldn't. It's a different level of humor, isn't it? Just the sight of Freddy with the knives would probably scare a young child. So you've also got to remember that, But I suppose back in the 80s, when Freddy Krueger's face is everywhere, young kids probably wouldn't have been so scared of it because they'd have seen him every time they go into a high street,
Well, there used to be massive cardboard cutouts in the video shop and stuff, didn't there?
Yeah.
I remember going into my video shop when I lived up here the first time, and right at the back behind the counter, there was the Fright Night poster with the big ghosty face thing, and I used to sort of try not to make eye contact with it because it used to scare me.
Yeah.
Never seen the film at that point. I was 6, but it was like, oh, don't look directly at it.
That poster does remind me of the poster of the original Nightmare on Elm Street film. It's got that sort of look of the colours, the greys, and that. I like it.
Yeah.
But for me, it was the video cover of American Werewolf in London, which has got I think it's a different cover now, but then it was just like the wolf with showing his fangs through the transformation.
Yeah, I
and
think
that scared
because I've got a steelbook. I love that film, and I've got the steelbook, and I think it's just the guys walking through the moors sort of thing.
Yeah, that's the modern cover.
Yeah,
but yeah. That really scared me and put me off. Not that I was old enough to watch it anyway, but it made most horror films when I was really young I wanted to watch, but that one I didn't because the cover just scared me.
Rick Mail has a cameo in that one.
He does, but in the bar scene. I know so many pubs like that. You walk in and they just stare at you. No, not anymore. I have met Rick Mail though. It was ZZ Top concert. He was there.
That's really cool.
Yeah, and my mate went up to him and said, "Excuse me, sir, are you Rick Mail?" And he looked him up and down and went, "Of course I fucking am." And then we walked with him from the venue to the tube station. It was in Hammersmith, so it's right where they filmed Bottom. And what a lovely man. Yeah. Weirdly, this film, Freddy's Dead, was released the same time. It was in the charts the same time in cinemas as Drop Dead Fred in 91. Okay. And also the same time was when Freddie Mercury died. And the number 1 and 2 films, I think, in America was Drop Dead Fred and Freddy's Dead the week Freddie Mercury died. Yeah, which is
and
all the dead Fred.
Yeah, and they all linked to me because my dad still calls me Snotface, and I loved Freddie Mercury, and I used to have a letter from Freddie Mercury, well, from the whole band. Unfortunately, when I got divorced, I left it, so I'm a bit gutted because I had a signed autograph and everything. Basically, my dad wrote to them from the Falklands when he was in the forces and said, my daughter's driving my wife up the wall, playing Live Aid every day, because I was putting we had it recorded off the telly. I was putting the VHS in every day and dancing my little socks off. Winded my mum up. But yeah, they wrote to me. That's really cool.
Well, you said signed autograph opposed to those unsigned autograph.
Signed photo, sorry. An autograph. It was actually a David Bailey photo as well. So Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They
Did you
have
notice who done the music to this film when it started?
It wasn't the Brian May.
No, it was the Australian Brian May who done the
The
Mad Max films.
Australian mate.
Yeah, but I remember as a kid thinking, "Is it him?" And this is before the internet, so I
I
didn't
thought it
actually
was him. Yeah, when I was
Yeah,
younger, I thought it was. I
yeah,
was like, oh, that's cool. But then I kept listening and going, "There's no really
yeah.
cool guitar. Like, what's going
Yes.
on?"
It's not like when you watch Flash Gordon, where it's obviously Brian May. Yeah.
And
Um.
what was it? The Highlander, where it's all creepy,
Highlander.
isn't it?
Yeah, Highlander's awesome. Anyway, sorry, we've gone off on one.
Yeah.
But we've sort of said the premise of this. Freddy has come after these sort of outcast kids who have all got struggles going on. They've got their psychiatrist. We haven't mentioned. I think it's another psychiatrist just called Doc, who is an older fella who is actually a well-known actor. This guy. Have you seen him in other stuff?
Yeah, was he in? I think he was in Total Recall or something, wasn't he? Was he in that?
He was. His name's Yabut Kotar.
He's
I
in
think is how you
something like
pronounce it.
that.
He's in The Running Man.
The Running Man.
Uh,
That's the one I'm thinking
yeah.
of.
He was in loads. He passed away a few years ago. He was 81 when he died. He was in Alien, Live and Let Die, Midnight Run, and a brilliant drama with Richard Pryor called Blue Collar that I hadn't seen till a few weeks
I've
ago.
not seen that. In Alien he was a lot slimmer, I think, in Alien. I've just
Yeah,
remembered. Yeah.
yeah, because
He
Alien
was a lot
would have
younger.
been just a decade before this.
Yeah, yeah.
Earlier, yeah. So a really good actor, and I'm surprised that you don't think of him when you think of this film because they didn't use him as a selling point, even though he was a well-known character actor at the time. But he was in loads, so for him
I
it
thought he
might have
was
just been
great
enough
in
job.
this, actually.
He was,
I
yeah,
really liked him in this, and because he brought all the dream element, didn't he? He was researching all the dream goblins or whatever they were. They're not goblins.
yeah. And that's another thing. It explains how Freddy is this. I see him as sort of demons, and how it's been around for years, and he's just taken on the form of Freddy in this period, which is another interesting thing. It's like it does briefly shows when Freddy is killed in the fire, the demons go to him and basically say let's do this thing. That's be a bigger demon, basically the dream demon. They offer it to him, don't they?
Yeah,
But it all
well, it's
happens
one
so
of those
quickly.
things that it'd never been clarified before. Like, all right, Freddy did this in life, and this is how he died, but nobody's actually said how he's able to come into. And this was all explained. It was these dream demons gave Freddy the power to cross the line, and it's all a sort of historic thing, isn't it? This powerful magic, whatever it is.
Yeah, and that's I didn't really think about it till this watch. They developed that more in the New Nightmare, the next one, because that's the one where it says about the demons and how it's this force, and because Freddy dies in the movies, he comes out of the movies and goes for the cast, and so it's the same thing developed. I've never really made that connection.
The next one.
Oh, you need to. It's in the box set you've got, isn't it?
No.
Have you got the box?
Yes, it is. Oh, yes, it is. I must have seen it. Yeah, I've got 7 in my box set.
Yeah, so because I had a DVD box set, was only was it DVD or Blu-ray you've got?
DVD, duved.
Because I had a box set of DVDs and it was only the first 6. So,
I've got that one as well, but I've got this. I got the newer one, which is 7. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So yeah, obviously you'll be listening after to the next podcast and watching that as well. Yeah,
I will.
I'm doing the thumbs up. I'm
going to do all of them. Now, I actually liked that was explained. And again, I can see why they did it if they intended this to be the last film. They were like, all right, let's wrap a few things up. We've left it open to interpretation until now, but let's sort of get on it. And we can do that now because there's not going to be any more. But they're
I think that works. Well, let's quickly go through the kills because we've mentioned the first one, which is the character of, is it Carlos, the deaf guy?
Yeah.
Carlos, who is I'm just trying to think of the actor because I've seen him in other stuff.
The only thing I've seen him in was the original Buffy film. I think he was an extra or something. Oh no, he was in Back to the Future as one of the gang with Biff, I think.
His data in the second one.
Yeah, in the second one.
Yeah, and he's also a bit under like false beard and stuff in the gang in the third one as well. His name is Ricky Dean Logan, and he's basically a sort of jobbing B-movie actor who in loads of stuff, but not that well known. But recently, he's been in a lot of the Ice Nine Kills videos. You know, the guy, the sort of newish rock metally band who do all the Terrifier stuff.
All right, okay.
So he's still working, but to be honest, this is the thing he's most well known for. This because it is one of those iconic deaths. Because Robert Englund mentioned it's like, would you be able to do this now? And I think you would, because Freddy's meant to be a bastard, isn't he?
Yeah.
And he's taunting this deaf guy, and you can sense something's going to happen with it because there's earlier they point out he's got a hearing aid, and you see the hearing aid, and well, basically Freddy messes with it and blows his head off with noise, doesn't he?
He really picks on their weaknesses in this one, doesn't he? So
yeah,
I was trying to think back to the others, and like he doesn't necessarily do that, but this one he really goes for it, and he really makes them figures of fun and taunts them, and the bit where he drops the pins, and it's like because he's done something to his hearing aid, so it's just super sound, and then his head burst.
I love that because it's so nasty that it makes it funny. He drops one pin which he catches, and then he just drops a load of them, and then his head blows up. And that's the first death. And the second death,
when he's doing it, it's just hilarious. His eyes widen, and you can see he's just cheeky as hell. It's brilliant. I love it.
But that's the thing. A lot of it, I think, Freddy enjoys torturing these kids as much as killing them. So he does draw it out, which helps for the plot as well, obviously. So that gives the surviving kids time to sort of battle him. Because if he wanted, he could just slash him to bits in seconds, couldn't he?
Of course he could.
And it would be a more boring film, Terrifier. So I like Terrifier as just, but there is that each film. There's that elaborate. How can they make it entertaining to kill these people? And I'm going to say people because they're not kids, are they? They're all adults. It's when you see that in the first movie they're supposed to be 15, but they all look well in their 20s.
Yeah,
and I think that makes it more watchable. You wouldn't want to watch it if it was right youngsters, would you? That'd be
and that's the thing. That's the other thing with when you see all the newspaper clippings, it's all little children. And if they'd have gone down that route, these would not have been as successful by any means, and they wouldn't have been able to turn Freddy into a comic. It just wouldn't have worked.
No, it would.
But they had to have them as teenagers.
It just wouldn't be fun. And teenagers, they're the audience for horror films, aren't they? Going back to Halloween, they're the main thing. So
and you can do more, and you can introduce the smoking a joint, and you can do all that stuff, and the swearing, and all the stuff that kids kind of want to experience and do. They can do sort of vicariously through these films. They can go, yeah, that's really cool. But it's not. The smoking. Those are bad kids.
Yeah, but the second death, we'll get onto that, which is the Breckenmeyer death, who people will know him. He went on to become quite a big star.
I love Breckenmeyer because I'm a big fan of Seth Green as well, and they did a lot of stuff together. But Breckenmeyer is in a film called Go, which is one of my all-time favourite films. Have you seen Go?
I've seen Go. Yeah. I've got the DVD of that one. Don't think there is a Blu-ray. If there is, I haven't got it. That's got a really good cast, and kind of it's Scott Wolf's in that, isn't he? From Party of Five, who is at a Comic-Con I'm going to in a few days, and I wanted to meet Scott Wolf so I could just talk to him about that and Double Dragon, and then just because he's Party of Five, wasn't he? That's where he was from the 90s.
Yes, I don't really know him from that. I know him from Go.
No. But he was also, for me, it's The Craft. He was in that, which I loved. And Rat Race, he was with Seth Green. Was he with Seth Green in Rat Race?
Seth Green, yeah. And I mean, obviously he was in Clueless. A lot of people know him from Clueless. And Road Trip, which was one of my favourites when I was a teen.
Yeah, that's the Tom Green one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird film. That's a very, but good. I remember really liking Tom Green. I don't know if I'd find his stuff that funny now, but I did at the time.
Yeah,
I probably would. I'm childish.
We're adults now, potentially not. So we're grown up and sensible, right?
Yeah. I'll probably watch Freddy Got a Finger tonight. So that's a film, by the way, if people are wondering. But he's still working. He still does a lot of TV stuff and the odd film, as well as Robot Chicken stuff, the comedy thingy.
Yeah.
So And this was his first film, so 34 years ago. And he's the stoner in this. And while they're all going out to sort of find Freddy, he gets high, and the TV goes all psychedelic. I think it plays Garden of Eden, and Freddy drags him into the TV, and then it basically becomes a video game, doesn't it? A very early 90s NES style video game.
Yeah, like Mario-esque, isn't it?
Yeah, which is funny, I think. And then he comes out of the game. The other kids are back, and he's still acting like the character, but Freddy's controlling him.
I
So
thought it
he's
was really well done as well. Like the bits
Yeah.
where he's bouncing along, I thought that was really like even the marching. I just thought, oh yeah, that's they've done that really well.
Yeah,
Really well.
it's fun. But the only thing I don't like about this death is he just sort of disappears, doesn't he? You don't.
Well, when I was thinking about it before we started recording, I was like, oh, hold on a minute, how did he die? And he just fell down the stairs into a hole.
Yeah,
And that was him
that's
gone. And you're like,
yeah.
what?
Yeah,
They've missed a trick there. They could have done something
yeah.
a
So
lot.
they could have done, but I'm not sure. But there was 10 minutes cut out of this film from the cinema release, which has never been seen. So I don't know if we saw more of that, or they're just tightened sort of dialogue. And I heard a lot of it was the introduction to the teenagers. So, but they could have been something. It's like in part 4, the cockroach death, they cut short because some of the effects didn't look so good.
Okay.
So it might be something like that. But maybe one day there'll be a special edition. We don't know. But it'll have to be. That's one of my favourites.
I think it's great. It's
So
horrid.
that was
like the elbows.
And then once he's killed him, he says, "I beat my high score." So Freddy made another Freddy pun there.
Yeah, Freddy pun.
Yeah.
Am I right in thinking this is one of the first films where he sort of broke the fourth wall? Because he did keep looking at the camera a lot in this.
Yeah, I think
And I don't remember
he does it more in this.
Did he do that in any others?
I'm not sure. I think that he did, when he says the one-liners, it's like, I don't know. He normally just sort of looks forward. It's almost like he's saying them to himself, isn't it, or to the person he's killed? Whereas in this, he's doing the full. The full.
He actually turns to the camera and's like, and I just thought, oh, I like that actually. That's quite good.
Well,
there's he knows it's meant to be punny and cheesy, so why not?
And probably it's in the next death with Johnny, isn't it? Well, Johnny isn't even really his real name. It's because he's
John Doe, isn't it? Is that all we know him as? I think that's
all we know. Yeah, and he's another one who just done a few B movies and stopped acting in 2002. Sean Greenbrook, Sean Greenbrook. This is my handwriting. Anyway, look him up. You'll work out what his name is. But yeah, he's not really done much TV and stopped acting. But essentially, he's the character you think is going to be the
big
lead
one,
in this.
Yeah,
and it's suggested for most of the film that he's Freddy's son. But then when he does die, Freddy's like, "No, you're not. I've just used you, so I'm going to kill you." And this is the parachute death.
This is really his whole character in this film is really weird for me. I just don't know if he was necessary at all.
Well, he was. Well, this character, it was supposed to be one of the characters from Part 5 and lead him. But when something happened where they couldn't get Lisa Wilcox, who played Alice, to come back,
right?
Because she was in 4 and 5, and I've always wondered why they didn't carry on with that character. I don't know what reasons. It might have been money, like the rumours why Patricia Arquette didn't come back. But for whatever reason, she didn't do it. So they decided, right, we'll just set it 10 years later and have different kids. Okay. So it might have worked better if it was one of the other ones leading from one.
Because, I mean, the idea is he's skipping town because he's the last kid from Springwood. And I think he's trying to leave, isn't he? And then Freddy basically stops him leaving because he needs him there to draw out these other kids or draw in these kids to Springwood. And so he's got amnesia and ends up at this halfway house. Doesn't obviously know who he is or how he got there, but he's got this thing about Amanda Kruger. Is it Amanda Kruger? He's got a newspaper cutting, hasn't he, about a Kruger woman, it says.
Yeah, the mum,
the Kruger woman was the mum. It wasn't Amanda.
Yeah.
No. Oh, no, this is Kruger's wife, isn't it?
Kruger's, he kills his wife.
Yeah,
because Amanda's the mum, who isn't really mentioned in this one.
Yeah, that's right.
Who's the nun? Yeah, and it's his wife. But you do see his sort of stepdad at one point as well, don't you? Which is Alice Cooper.
Oh yeah, Kruger's stepdad.
Yeah, who beats him and stuff. And that's a really dark scene And I like this because his stepdad's trying to beat him, and just the pain doesn't affect him. And it's great to see Alice Cooper in it. And Alice Cooper loves these films. And he said that he gets offered so many films, but he didn't want to do a film where he's in the Alice Cooper makeup and stuff. And in this, he got to be, which is quite funny because he said he didn't want to do that. Then the next year, he'd done that in Wayne's World.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wayne's World's a bit different though because it's a music film, isn't it?
Yeah. He's also in. Have you seen the John Carpenter Prince of Darkness? He's in that as a really scary role that doesn't speak. It's a good one. It's Donald Pleasance again. But yeah, that's worth watching. Anyway, we've gone off on one. We were talking about.
Sorry.
Yes, we were talking about the death of Johnny because it's the parachute. Where he falls and he thinks he's not going to die. He's talking to Freddy, who's in the parachute, and Freddy reveals that he's not his son, and he drops. And this is the bit where I think he goes most cartoony and most looking at the camera. He sort of wheels a bed of nails in Looney Tunes style and proper looks at the camera.
Yeah, even the squeak on the wheel of the thing is like, fuck me, isn't it? It's just like,
There's a bit as well when he's chasing Breckin Meyer's character where it sounds a bit Scooby-Doo. Did you pick up on that? Yeah, which I like. And I think a lot of it is they're getting criticised throughout the films for going more light-hearted. So in this one, they just thought, it's the last one, let's do it. Yeah. Let's just go silly.
I think they thought they could get away with anything, and actually they pretty much did. I enjoyed it, so...
Yeah. Well, they do go... People forget that, yes, they go really cartoony with the kills of the teenagers, but in many ways, because you see a lot of the backstory of him as an adult, it's one of the darkest ones as well. You know,
I totally agree. Yeah.
So maybe that light stuff actually helps the film, because if it was too dark, it wouldn't be entertaining. It would be.
It might not even get made. They might have just gone, no, we're not standing for that.
Yeah.
The whole town has been like the whole because there's loads of cameos, isn't there?
Yeah. And the
whole town has been, what is it, this sort of weird psychosis. All these adults have got this thing because all the children have been killed when they go back to Springwood, and there's no kid anywhere. And these three teenagers, these delinquents that have been, there's four, isn't there, including Johnny and Maggie, all go back to Springwood, and then they get stuck in this loop, which I think is great.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just that's like, I get dreams all the time where I just can't get out of somewhere, or I'm trying to get somewhere.
This is another bit where I think where they're using these common dream or nightmare scenarios in this film. There's another bit where the little girl is just stood in the middle of the road because she's trying to get them to not go into Springwood. And that's like another thing that is a nightmare thing where you've just suddenly got a person in front of you when you're driving, you go, There's loads of little bits like that.
And a little throwback, because there's a bit in, is it part 4 or 5, when they're in a truck and they're trying to get somewhere, and they come out of a diner. That might be part 5. And they come out.
No, it's the one with it is part 4, where Alice and her jock boyfriend are trying to get to somebody, and they just keep going around and ending up. Yeah, she keeps running out of the diner and going, "Oh, we're back in the van," sort of thing.
Which is much like in this, but it's not just ripping that bit off. I see it's a bit of a nod to it, which I like.
Yeah.
And they go back to the town, and there's a fair on, but there's no kids there, and it's really, really eerie. And then to make things even scarier, who talks to them but Roseanne and Tom Arnold, which is horrifying. And
also the female Tracy doesn't like to be touched because she's obviously a victim of abuse, and then Roseanne just literally puts her face on her face, and I'm like, oh, that's just horrendous. Yeah, that bit reminds me of the pie eating contest in Stand By Me. I don't know what it is about that. I'm like, in my head they could have used the same scene, the same setting. It just seemed really similar to me.
Whenever I see sort of
very Derry about that bit.
Yeah, because there's small town stuff, especially in horror, always reminds me of Stephen King.
Yeah,
it's just, and I'm saying that the film My Girl reminds me of Stephen King because of just that whole setting. You know what I mean? Sort of 50s America. But I really like that bit.
My Girl.
Sorry?
I said that's your favourite film, isn't it, My Girl?
It's in my top 100 Dan Aykroyd films.
Excellent.
Probably. It's all right, It's I always want to mix the Macaulay Culkin death scene with the Nicolas Cage Wicker Man B scene, do like a mashup. So that
You're
could
not
work,
good
couldn't
at
it?
telly, are you?
No.
No. There was a program recently with Taron Egerton called Smoke. It was on Apple TV. I really enjoyed it. But the girlie out of My Girl was in that as an adult.
She's in Veep.
Is
Is it
she
Veep?
Vesta? No, what's she called?
I don't
Can't remember what
know. I
she's
don't
called
know.
in My Girl.
But she was
Anyway.
in, I think it was Veep, which was the American version of The Thick of It. I think she was in that.
No.
And she just looks the same, but taller, So,
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. She
yeah.
just looks exactly the same, but just
Yeah.
slightly
But
more inflated.
Yeah. So we mentioned the character Tracy, played by Leslie Dean, who is another one who's done a lot of B movies, stopped acting in the late 90s, sorry. But she was in a film called 976 Evil in 1988, a brilliant horror film that's directed by Robert England. So
Ah,
she's worked with Robert England before, and I think she's one of the main characters in that. And I think she maybe just settled down and just gave up acting. But I thought she was good. But I think her character, the way obviously that there's a different backstory, but as the film goes on, especially towards the end, I see that's what Alice would have done, the things she does, and the whole sort of her doing martial arts and that sort of thing was
yeah,
very
there was a
what
lot of
Alice
Alice
became.
in her, I thought. I agree. I agree
Yeah.
with that.
So
There
they
was-
obviously, I think they touched up the script to change it to her.
yeah.
And it worked. I thought she was all right. Another one who was she, I mentioned before, she just looked a bit older. But then we don't know they are that young in this. I mean, she's driving and stuff, isn't she? So
Yeah, but they
probably
drive at
meant
15 in the States.
to
They
drive
get
at
taught at
6. Yeah,
school, don't they?
yeah, that's true. So
But
um,
the Alice character, everyone really, I think people really liked the Alice character. So I think they were probably just trying to take the best elements of her and go,
yeah,
yeah, we need this chick to be bosh hard, and
yeah. So yeah, but yeah, but I think she worked, and she was one who, she took over really. Her and the psychiatrist as becoming the heroes of the film, so to speak. Which
girl
is
power.
a yeah. And saying that it was directed by Rachel Talalay, sorry, Rachel
Hello.
Talalay, who done
This was
Tank
her
Girl,
first thing that she directed, wasn't it?
yeah, and
This
she
was
went
her
on to direct
debut as a director.
yeah,
Sorry.
and she done the movie Tank Girl a few years later,
Yeah.
which the character Tracy reminds me a bit of. It's that sort of action wisecracking, but obviously got a bit of trauma. And I think her making this film, they'd have definitely seen these characters when wanting to make Tank Girl and thought that's get her involved. And she is British as well, which Tank Girl is a British character. So I can
It
see
is
why
British. What,
it'll,
the director?
yeah,
Oh, right. I
yeah,
did
because
not know that.
yes, and I mean this done really well. Tank Girl really bombed. She's done a few films since, but it's mainly done TV stuff. She's done a lot of the sort of DC shows like The Flash and Legends of Tomorrow, but she's also done things like Sherlock and Doctor Who. So I think she's become sort of a work and director who, does things for the money basically, as in it's her job, not her passion. Does that make
Yeah.
sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a shame because I really like this and I really like Tank Girl as well. And I think she's probably, for me, better than that. But
But this was a passion project for her, wasn't it? This was her first
yes,
sort of
yeah, she
directorial
wrote,
debut, and she did she write it with Robert England?
she's credited as writing it on her own.
Oh,
But I
right,
think
okay.
Robert, I think, because I remember seeing it just said written by then her at the beginning. But Robert England would have had input, definitely.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But originally it was, the script was given to a then little known director who'd done a few things called Peter Jackson, and his script was refused. They never,
Really? No
yeah,
way.
yeah. So by this time he'd have probably done Bad Taste and possibly Brain Dead. Then it's a few years before The Frighteners. So yeah,
Bad Taste,
he
is that the one that I always think was that, did he do Freaked or Freaks or something like that, or is that something completely different?
Freaks is Alex Winter from Bill and Ted, but
Is
the
that-
video cover is a bit like Bad Taste with like a horrible faced thing on it.
Yeah, I just remember some big horrible monster mama thing with a big belly that was open. I don't know which film I'm thinking of though.
That sounds like Bad Taste. That
Oh,
sounds
is
like
it? Yeah, that was
yeah,
gross. Ew.
Yeah, cool though.
See, the things I
She
watched with
also,
my big brother.
yeah, she also directed a film. This is directed done a film called Ghost in the Machine in between this and Tank Girl, which looks really cool, like a sci-fi type horror with Karen Allen from Indiana Jones in it. But it's really hard to get hold of, and I've never been able to see it.
Has
So
that got? I think that's got Spike from Buffy in it, hasn't it? I think
possibly it
that
was
might have.
'93.
Yeah, I think it might have him in it.
Okay,
Something I
I need to
noticed
watch
on,
it.
that because obviously they're driving this van around in this film and they're stuck in this loop. And something I did notice, which I thought was a nod to number 3, was it had graffiti on the side and it said Reptile House instead of like whatever the halfway house was meant to be. And I think that was
Okay.
another reference to the snake pit, the
Of course, yeah. Which is what the sort of a slang term for.
a loony
Um,
bin, basically, isn't it?
so I was trying to think of the PC term.
Oh, see, this
Um,
is why Gemma has to edit me because I'm not PC at all. I'm really sorry.
well,
Uh,
it's so difficult
I
because
don't even know.
we grew up for it, and I'll say terms that I don't see offensive, and I don't generally don't want to offend anyone, but
No, I don't
terms
want to offend
change. Yeah, well, some people I want to offend, but I won't say who, because yeah, but yeah. So mental institution, even that's wrong, I think.
I think that's still
So,
yeah.
yeah. So but yeah,
Facility for the impaired.
yeah, yeah. My mum would say people who aren't quite the ticket. But yeah, but yeah. So we've gone through the deaths, and then they basically work out much like in the first film.
I'm
If you
just trying to
bring
remember.
Freddy,
Did Tracy die at the end or not? I can't
no,
remember.
no,
No.
Tracy's one of the ones who survived. Yeah. So
Ah,
that's part of that is my thinking of if it had been Alice, you'd have wanted her to
yeah.
survive. So she survives, and the 2 psychiatrists survive.
The bit with her and her father, that to me was one of the darkest scenes in this. That was horrid.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
really, yeah, that was just
Yeah.
made my skin crawl. And obviously that's where they're getting a little bit, they sort of, the abuse element, they seem to mention a lot more in this. Not just Freddie, obviously, but her as well. And I just didn't like that. I don't know if that bit was needed to be so.
Well, I think that was to throw you so that it builds up to think she's been traumatized by Freddy, and then it's like, no, there's other monsters out there as well, and that's what done it.
Yeah.
And also, if it was meant to be Alice in the other 2 films she's in, her dad was an alcoholic, and
Yeah.
it hints at things, so maybe it would have developed that a bit more because
Yeah.
he possibly did. But yeah, this is what I mean about how the film gets really dark and then it changes tone to being stupid. I think almost to make you forget the dark bit you've just seen or bring you out of it. It's like in a
It's
lot of
almost
horror
like
films.
2 different films from before John Doe dies and after John Doe dies. It's like 2 separate things.
Yeah. I
So I don't know.
just remember as well. One of the reasons the actress who played her, she might have actually retired before I said late 90s. It might have been not long after she retired from acting. That's Leslie Dean. Making the film affected her, and she's quoted in saying that she thinks that it might have woken up some memories she'd blocked from her past.
Oh, right.
So doing that, and I couldn't find any more. I don't know whether it did or it affected her to make her think that she did. But
Yeah, I
something
mean,
to make
people don't necessarily go fully public with that stuff anyway, do they? But also,
exactly, yeah.
like the way obviously humans work, your brain will hide bad things from your memory. Like it'll mask them even in your own memories. So to protect you, otherwise you would.
Yeah. So she was said that playing this,
so potentially triggered things.
Yeah. So who knows? But there's something that even though those bits are nasty, it's a serious subject, which I think you do need to tackle. Maybe this is the wrong film for it, but a lot of people who wouldn't watch a more serious film would watch a Freddy film. So
exactly,
it might sound silly, but it could actually end up helping a lot of people to see that, So yeah, but it with all the seriousness,
it also does kind of validate putting the cheesier, funny stuff into. And this is actually kind of like what we do on our podcast. We put the light-hearted stuff in, because the stuff we talk about on the Criminal Craic is dark and horrid, and I think it's kind of the same thing. You know, you have to, if you want to cover these dark topics, you've also got to have bits that make people go, that's funny.
Yeah, you do need it, and it's like I watch some true crime documentaries, but I find them really heavy going, and it might even be I'd watch them more if there was a charismatic presenter or something like that on it, opposed to most of them are just serious voiceovers, and I'm like, most of them I watch because I'm intrigued, I want to know what happened, or but I don't. I'll go through little stages of a couple of times a year. I'll watch a few of them.
Yeah,
whereas
I think most of us are curious. We just want to understand humans a bit more, or some of us want to understand them a bit less. But it's all part of it. It's all, and I think that's another reason why younger kids try and watch these kind of films as well. They just want to learn. They just want to know stuff, and they want to be naughty and do what parents don't say.
Most of us watch these films when we were younger because we shouldn't have done, but just quickly going back to your podcast, what I listen to it on a Sunday morning, usually hungover while setting up the pub I run. And if it wasn't for them light-hearted elements, I'd be a miserable bastard for the 12 hours I'm around customers after. So you need that. And
you need to hear me rambling on about rubbish like vinyl records that I know nothing about.
Or that you bought a big hat.
Or that I bought a big hat. The biggest hat in the world, not just a big hat. The big hat.
Can we put the picture on the advertising this podcast of you in the big hat?
Yeah, do it.
Yes, okay, we'll do that. But yeah, so they work out how to bring Freddy out of the dream, and they give him a good killing too, so to speak, beat the hell out of him. And it's the only time in the film that anyone is stabbed with the knife glove is on him in this. He doesn't kill anyone with it, which is quite interesting. But when they go and get him in the dream world, that's when the 3D bit happens. When in cinemas you'd been told to put your 3D glasses on. I've never seen this film in 3D. Did you ever see it in 3D?
I did. I watched it in 3D years ago. I can't remember where. So I have seen it in 3D, and I don't know. I don't really like 3D. It makes me seasick. So
for my dodgy eyes, it doesn't work very well. It just it just looks normal, I suppose. The odd bit will sort of look a bit more textury, but I remember renting it, and the glasses weren't in the video that we rented. So
right, so you did that.
But I do like once it goes 3D, you get all the demons, and Freddy's face will like go towards the camera. It looks really forced. And then they're given they find these weapons to use against him, and they all keep picking them up and putting them towards the camera. It just doesn't look natural. And have you seen the 3D Friday the 13th?
No.
There's a 3D Friday the 13th, but there's so many things just nothing to put towards the camera. They even at one point get a yo-yo and they're just doing it towards the camera while talking. It's really funny.
It's funnier when you're not watching it in 3D, because it's just like, what are you doing with that?
Yeah, that's funny. That's what I like about it. It's dark, but it's a selling point for the film, and it worked. It got people in. So basically,
do you not think it felt a bit forced though, that 3D sort of?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Like, we got to do it, so let's just I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was forced, but also it wasn't for the whole film, which I like. It was only for that last sort of 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And now looking at it, it's just funny to see that them. It just looks a bit dark. And if you didn't know it was meant to be in 3D, you'd be like, "What the hell is this? Why is there a baseball bat being with barbed wire going towards the camera for no reason?"
Yeah.
But I think that's part of its charm, and I think it definitely helped get people into the cinema. So for that, I think good on them.
And it was great that they kept all that ammunition in a halfway house. Just genius, really.
They just found it, didn't they? That's
all this stuff had been confiscated from these youths, and
troublesome kids.
Pipe bomb. Okay.
But yeah, that's part of the fun of it. But so the film has been criticised a lot, and I think it's silly. But the only sort of criticism I've really got is quite often it seems a lot more unclear in this film whether it's dream or real. Whereas in the others, it's blatant they've gone to sleep.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, you don't. And it doesn't always seem to quite flow as well. But that's
There
a
are
minor
definitely some bits that are disjointed.
Yeah.
Definitely. But all in all, I mean, there are loads of bits in this where you think they've woken up, aren't there? Oh, they're awake. And then, haha, no, they're not. And they've done that in the other films, but this happened a lot in this. And you go, oh, right, still no.
Yeah, it's like they're throwing everything at it. And you've got to think as well, it's a first time director who wrote it as well. And she had to follow 5 other hit movies.
Yeah.
I think she's done a good job. I really do. I mean, I don't think it's as good as the first 3, and for me, probably 4. But I really like those films. It's not saying it's bad, because I think these other films, which I've given all like 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
don't
think,
ask me to rate them. Ugh, I know you're going to.
oh, I'm only going to ask you to rate this one. I'm not going to ask you to rate all of them. But what did you think of how they actually killed him at the end? Because it is a quick, he's dead, the end.
I can't even remember. Was it the pipe bomb that done it? They shoved it in him, didn't they?
Yeah.
And he
then
exploded.
and then exploded, and you see, yeah, that's the difference between this killing of him and the other killings is you see the demons come out, which I think is saying,
yeah,
so yeah,
they leave him, don't they? But they're laughing when they leave, and I found that really weird.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we're going to go and attack Robert England next in real life.
Yeah, we're going to go into someone else. Maybe they should go into pandas.
There's a panda-based horror film I've got called Pandemonium, which is just a bloke in a panda suit. I thought it was going to be about real pandas. I was really annoyed. There's got to be a panda film. But and also there's no little cliffhanger at the end of this, whereas the others there usually is. There's a little hint, like you'll see the girls with the skip and rope or something.
Yeah, no, this just says R.I.P. Freddy at the end, doesn't it?
Yeah, and then there's like a best of Freddy montage with 90s rock music.
I like that. I did like watching that, rewatching it. Even though I've rewatched all the films in the last sort of week and a half, it's still like, oh, I like that death. Yeah. Oh, that death is good. Oh, another cameo in this one, though. Johnny Depp was back in this one, wasn't he?
Yeah, with the stoner bit with the eggs being your brain. So I mean, I think I mentioned this in the Feely episode. I think he's very proud to have been involved with the Nightmare on Elm Street films. I think he loves it.
I think he was great in the first one.
Yeah,
you didn't want him to die, so that was kind of the intention, wasn't it? It's like you didn't. I kind of wanted him and Nancy to. Actually, I liked all the characters in the first one. And just like, dead.
I think that's one of the differences in this franchise, why I like it more than, say, Friday the 13th. I do like the Friday the 13th films. In those, the students, kids, are often dickheads, and I want them, because it's fantasy, obviously, you want them to, you don't care if they die. Whereas in the Freddy films, you like the teenagers, they're relatable.
See, I love Patricia Arquette, and True Romance is my all-time favourite film. And so, I really, that's probably another reason I really like the third one.
Yeah,
and it's great.
And we mentioned it on the pod for the third one. There's no, she didn't really. There's no reason why she didn't come back, because at that point her career hadn't gone off on as big. There's rumours of her. This is interesting because there's rumours of her pay dispute, but there's also rumours that she was pregnant. But if she was pregnant, we'd have known, wouldn't we? Or she'd have.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't really. I think it was probably.
It could even be, if they've got casting agents and it could have been anything.
Yeah,
you could but the only day, couldn't you?
But if it wasn't for that, I think she'd have gone on to become, that character would have been one of the main ones. But then we got Alice, and everyone likes Alice, so it all kind of works out.
Yeah, that's probably what I didn't like was her character in number 4, the one that should have been Patricia Arquette. I can't remember her name. What's her name? Gone from my brain. Kirsten, that's it. Yeah, I didn't like the next one. And so I was like, I want Patricia Arquette back. I was just in a huff by then. I was like,
yeah, she was played by Tuesday Night, who was a singer who I think was just put in it to promote the song from the film called Nightmare. Okay. And my criticism part 4 is they kill off all the characters in part 3 too quickly.
Yeah, I heard you say that on the other one, and I agreed. It's like, they survived! Yay! They're dead now.
It's Yeah, do it with one of the characters. I'm still angry that in Friday the 13th Part 2 they killed off the main character from Part 1 in the first 5 minutes. Still annoyed, and that was made before I was born, and I'm annoyed about it.
Vexes
Um,
me. Yeah.
yeah. So
My
this is the point
my
where
ultimate favourite death, though, out of all these films, was Tina in the first one.
that's the
I,
first ever death.
the very first kill. I think that is, and I preferred it when it's like, I just thought that was so clever that they could obviously blame the boyfriend, even though we know it wasn't. I mean, there was blood everywhere. She was flying around there. I just thought that was really, really a good death. Putting my thumbs up. But you know what I mean? It was just really well done.
Yeah. Another thing I like about Freddy and the whole him being a bastard is he'll kill people either through something they hate or something they love, like the Dungeons and Dragons death.
Yeah.
But also he'll frame other people for doing it. So he's having the most fun in killing people you could possibly
He
have,
really
isn't he?
is.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, I'm going to ask you for a rating out of 5, even though you don't want to do it.
I'm really rubbish with ratings because I always think if you've got nothing good to say, don't say anything at all. But I really like this, so I'm going to give it a 4 because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reminiscing about watching it with my brother, and we really did laugh. It's a horror fantasy, isn't it? So you're allowed to laugh.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Not a
it's
scary
Wes Craven, and Wes Craven, he's done some dark films, but he'll always put something light-hearted in. It's like his first film, Last House on the Left, which is proper nasty. There's a random little slapstick bit in the middle of it with this van. If you remember that bit, so I think he's always put a bit of humour in. Maybe there must be humour. I haven't seen it for years, but Hills Have Eyes must have that. But then like Shocker and obviously Scream. I'll fight to the death to say that Scream is actually a comedy as much as a horror.
Yeah, Scream's very funny.
Yeah, and it's meant to be as well, and that and that's why it stands out from, say, I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend and those other films at that period, because there's humour in them, but they're not proper comedies. Where I think Scream is, but that's.
I was just going to say the other element of this is the little girl, which obviously transpires to be Maggie, is Kruger's daughter. You do spoilers, it's all right.
Yeah.
I just thought the little girl was a really good actress. I thought she was great. It was like when she teared up, I teared up. I thought that was really good.
Yeah.
It was,
and
obviously, the bit where Kruger kills his wife in front of the little, seen by the little girl. I just thought that bit was, pulling on your little heartstrings.
It's we mentioned as well about certification. We've still got to find out whether Part 5. I think Part 5's gone down to 15. And the first one's a 15, but this one, because of things like that, I think will always stay an 18.
And I think it probably should.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially having him as the man who's done these things, and not just the monster that can be. You can put that to one side. He's a monster. Seeing a man, and he's got this hidden room in his basement full of all this stuff, and there's, even if it's not mentioned, it's very much implied that he's done this to all these little children of the town, and that's it. That was one thing that annoyed me, was like he said when he's talking to Maggie, who we now know is Kruger's daughter, as an adult, and he's trying to say, well, they took you away from me, so that's why I did it. Lies. You did it before because she was still there and she found your room. Lies.
Yeah. Because one of the things I read, it says it explains why he kills the children, but it doesn't, because he's doing it before he's found out.
Exactly.
So
he was a big nonce before. So yeah.
And he's the child of 101 maniacs or whatever, isn't it? So it's meant to be
100 maniacs. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah. So it's in him. He's got that. So that's why, and that doesn't. Yeah.
And the other thing is, when they're talking about the dream demons entering him, they said that these demons search for the most evil entity on Earth and enter that. So we know that he's evil.
Did you just call them dreamons?
I called them dream demons, but I like dreamons.
Dreamons, that's good. Yeah, we'll coin that and then sue the estate of Wes Craven.
With these films as well, though, I think whilst I love them, because it's dream and because it's fantasy and because it's nightmares, there's room to do absolutely anything, and they could keep going forever.
Yeah,
and do what they like, and they should.
Yeah.
And it's like every time I watch them, I think, "Ooh, I would have done this because this is really scary." But then you think, "Oh, do you want it to be scary? Do you want it to be funny? Who knows?"
I think the reason they stopped after, I mean, part 7 still made money, but it didn't do as well. But that was released 94, and it's up against some. You look up 94, the big films that was released, and it is different. It was, I think, it's too ahead of its time. But if they'd have made a film the next year and the next year, I think they'd have still made money, and they might have still be going now, but maybe straight to streaming or just lower budget. But I think the main reason they stopped, and I don't think he'd say it, is Robert Englund just wanted to do other things. As much as he loved Freddy, I think he was struggling at that point to be known for anything else.
Yeah, and that's fair enough. But also, it wouldn't be worthy without him. So that's, I probably wouldn't want to, can you, you said they've made did they do a remake?
Yeah, they did, yeah.
See, I never watched that. Never bothered. I'm
Yeah,
not really into remakes much. I try to avoid them.
Yeah, it's well, that is. I'm going to end the series on a podcast about that.
Is it
and
Robert Englund though?
No, it's
Because he's older.
oh, no, it's a different guy. He's a good actor. He was the one who was in Watchmen, and is it Jackie Earl something? Oh, I haven't got notes in front of me, but it's a good actor. But it's not Robert Englund, so it's like, what's the point? But even that, to be honest, it got panned, but it made a lot of money. The remake did make money, and that's one of the reasons I think why they're still talking about bringing it back, because it's. But then people went out of interest. Jackie Earl Haley.
All right.
Do you know what I mean? But he's a good actor, and there's nothing wrong with him in it. But he's not Robert Englund. It's like maybe it probably wouldn't sell. But
maybe for a new audience, maybe for youngsters now who've not seen the originals and aren't fans of.
Because the remake was only 7 years after Freddy versus Jason.
Oh right,
so
okay.
They're not that long. But maybe they could, these demons, go into someone else who's like Freddy and have it as a different character.
Yeah.
And that way it wouldn't be associated with Rob Englund. But who knows? That might be one of the reasons they were always pushing him having a kid, so the kid could carry on. So who knows?
They could,
but
they could. There's still room for possibility, just because it's a dreamland, it's a fantasy, and I think they've got that to play with if they wanted to. But it would have to be really good. And also, I mean, was the newer one? I'm guessing it wasn't practical effects.
No, it was mostly bad CGI.
Yeah, I really like practical in most things. Just keep it low budget. We like it.
Yeah, and also one of the main things is it doesn't hint at things. He's not just a murderer, and it tells you that, which I think is a mistake. So that's its main mistake, I think. But you'll have to listen to the podcast even if you don't watch the film when we do the last one.
I'll watch them. I will watch them. I will seek and find and watch. But I'm sure there was something else to say about this one, but I can't remember what it was. So
we will there. But you can always comment on the things if you remember it, and once it's up. But I do want to firstly, thanks for coming on and coming on as a solo from your podcast. But we won't say what film, but we are going to get you both on at some point, aren't we?
Yeah, Gemma's really excited to do that as well. Yeah. So good.
So if you're listening, Gemma, hello. I haven't actually met you, so I've heard your voice a lot. So looking forward to having you on. And we'll do that film. We'll have to put our heads together when we can do it. That's the. But it's something that I've never seen. Have you seen it?
No, neither of us have seen it, so it's going to be
okay.
Going to be new to us all. So it might be utter poop, and we might just come on saying, "Wow."
Yeah, I've heard very good things. It's a film which is it's well over 30 years old. It might be nearer 40. I'm seeing it on the big screen
like
next month.
40 years old, Andy.
So
you say that like 40 years old. Come on.
Yeah, well, it's not. No, it's not.
40 isn't.
So it must be 30 because it's But I'm seeing it on a big screen at a festival. So if we wait till then I can show off that I've seen it in cinema.
Yeah.
So,
that was something I was going to say. I've never seen a Freddy film in the cinema.
Never.
No. The first ones were on video, Some of them were even, I think, recorded off TV. Actually, it must have been the first one was recorded off telly, maybe. Can't remember. But yeah, never seen one on the big screen.
Are you near a Cineworld?
No. We're up
They're
in the
showing
north
part
of
2.
Scotland. Our local cinema is the Moray Playhouse, and it's still, the decor is still the same as it was when I lived here in 1989, which is pretty cool. But you can hear the seagulls outside when the films are on.
Of course, proper old school. But yeah, Cineworld is showing part 2 around Halloween. I've only seen part 1. Oh no, I've seen a few actually. 1, New Nightmare. I got in when I was 12. I don't know how I've done that. Freddy, the remake, and Freddy versus Jason. They're the ones I've seen.
You have a phony beard and a top hat.
It was a 15, and I looked old. That's how. But I didn't have a phony beard. I had a real beard and a fake top hat. But yeah, so yeah, that's a wrap up because this may be one of the longest episodes we've done.
Sorry if we're a bit rambly.
That's right. Well, thanks everyone for listening, and I'm going to play the ad for your podcast now, and then I'll just wrap it all up with a goodbye and stuff. So don't tune out yet, listeners. And thank you very much for joining me. And we'll hear from you again very soon. Yeah.
Shall I say my thing? Keep on.
Go on, do it.
Keep on trucking.
Hi, I'm Jem.
And I'm Victoria.
And we are childhood best friends with a true crime podcast called
The Criminal Craic. During each episode, one of us presents a true crime case to the other.
And the listener has no idea what the case will be.
So every reaction, question and twisted theory you hear is genuine and off the cuff.
So join us fortnightly on the platform of your choice.
And find us on Facebook, Instagram and TikTok by searching at The Criminal Craic.
Bye-bye!
Keep on trucking!
Hey, huge thanks to Vic for joining me there. I really enjoyed that. I'll be back very soon with returning guest James Rowe. James is my co-host on the King Street Cinema podcast and is also a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan. And he requested Wes Craven's New Nightmare, so he's going to be joining me on that one. Thanks for listening. Please comment, like and rate on your preferred platform. Those 5-star ratings really do help boost the podcast and helps us grow, of course. Also find us on Facebook and Instagram and comment and stuff on there as well. Until then, remember, whatever you do, don't fall asleep.